Like different people cosplay for different reasons, and that's something cosplay can do, which I think is like beautiful.
They can be the hero of the day, right?
Hero, villain, doesn't matter. You can bring out someone's inner child. Like if you have the luxury and the time and the money to spend on trial and error, do that. So this was a trial and error effort, and it worked. If you do cosplay for the mainstream audience and you get recognized, that's great. No one taught me how to do this. I didn't start like how normal people start here, is by assisting people. Not everyone starts off the way I did. I don't think anyone in Sri Lanka has ever started with cosplay and gotten into special effects makeup full time. That
Yeah.
has not happened before. And I didn't get into special effects intentionally.
Okay.
People approached me and hired me for the various things when I was like 17 years old in Sri Lanka. They
So
would
you had your first job at 17 years.
no, I think earlier than that. Like if you build your brand and your company from scratch or from the help of someone else, make sure you do it with a lot of research, a lot of passion, and you're ready to sacrifice a lot physically, mentally, and emotionally for this kind of job. But it's not for the faint of heart. I always say if there's a complicated makeup, we have to do a makeup test.
Makeup test.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the lighting, with the environment, with the color grading, we have to do a makeup test. Otherwise, it's going to be a very like time consuming, stressful process on the day.
Okay.
And you might not even get the shot you want. And don't think that just because Sri Lanka is a third world country, it doesn't have options. It has a lot of options. Sometimes I get lucky and I get to work with directors who have the same mindset as I do. I think my favorite so far has been Blockendino to work with.
Blockendino. So you said you are the person who behind the Blockendino's makeup.
Yes, mainly right now.
Hello everybody, my name is Amit Deniyage, and you guys know that BizzB is a YouTube channel that talk about art and culture, and it's also a entertainment educational channel. If you're a person who participate on the second day of Lanka Comic Con 2025, you guys remember this mask. So I had a chance to speak with her, and this is she. She's like 10 years from cosplay, right? Yeah, back in 2015, maybe 12.
13.
2013. Not in Sri Lanka, right?
No.
Not in Sri Lanka. Even the Comic Con was not started in Sri Lanka when she entered the cosplay. So, can you introduce yourself and tell me about with yourself?
Sure. So my name is Opula Fonseka. Been in the cosplay makeup scene since 2013 when I was doing my O levels, I think. And now I work as a professional special effects makeup artist in film and theater.
Dream Theatre.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's talk about the cosplaying first.
Yes.
Okay. So, why do you cosplay? Why do you like cosplaying?
That's a bit of a difficult question. I love cosplaying and it's kind of like an addiction for me because I got into it because of my friends back in Bahrain where I grew up, and I just wanted to fit in, so that's why I started cosplaying with my friends. But then when I came to Sri Lanka, and even then I kind of wanted to cosplay because cosplay was for me an outlet for my creative side because I was such a studious student and I was like getting straight A's in school. I didn't This was like my space to like let loose and be free. But and then when I came to Sri Lanka, and then all of this after a couple of years, I kind of thought maybe I'm too old for cosplay. I'm 26 now.
26? That is a like it's a teenage age. Like, I saw someone cosplaying like he's like 40 or 50.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have an age when you cosplay, but I felt like with my career, I was putting so much creative out like energy into that I didn't have enough for cosplay, and I didn't cosplay for 2 years now, and that really made me sad because when I would go to the comic cons for interviews for other purposes, but I wouldn't be like cosplaying, and that really made me sad.
Mhm.
So that this year after going to day, I was working during Comic Con. Day one and day two. Day one I had to get ready like 6 people, and then day two I had to get ready 4 people. On day one when I came, I mean I wanted to do this, but then last minute I got like this gig, this project, and I accepted it. And my cosplay was put on the back burner, and I ended up not having time for it. But then after seeing the cosplays on day one, I kind of went home and didn't sleep. I just made this in like 3 hours, and I came to the second day, got the people ready, the 4 people, and put them out there. I think around 1, and then it took me 30 minutes to. I borrowed a nightie from my grandmother, and I made it like old and put like fake blood on the body prosthetics on myself in 30 minutes. And I came up with this crazy idea to do like a blood effect as well. So all of that under 30 minutes, and then ran to the con because I had to be there for judging at 3:50.
For anime.org competition,
Yeah.
right?
So I was only there in the second day during like the last few hours of the con, and I was not allowed to move either. So it's a bit of an addiction. I loved cosplaying, even though I like didn't sleep, eat, or like for like 2 days ish. It was so worth it. Like I would do it again, but this time I would like take more time. I say that every time, but end up always doing something last minute. But yeah.
How did you first discover the cosplay thing? Like this is new to our culture in Sri Lanka. We didn't have the cosplay culture back in 90s or 2000. But after 2010, there was a cosplay culture. How did you get enter with it?
So got into cosplay in Bahrain, where I grew up. So we had like big conventions there, like International Gaming Network competition, like a convention, and other like smaller conventions, and it was a big thing over there. But I didn't know about any of that. I'm like back in 2013, and in that era, I was very much into horror. I was very much into zombies, sci-fi fiction. That was like my favorite genre of like
Horror genre.
horror genre of games, movies. Because I would watch horror films with my mother when I was a kid, right? And so when I got into, and I kind of was like this tomboy character when I was very young, and I had a lot of internalized misogyny, right? So I was like, I don't like really things. I like horror stuff. I like boyish things and this. But I mean, then that got me into a very unique friend group who were also into this like crazy stuff. Like I would say, anime, movies, like the type things I was into.
You fell in love with the characters, right?
More
How
like
the
the
story?
genre.
Genre.
The genre and the characters, it depends, right? So back then I didn't like go into depth with it, but then I was so interested in the characters, and my friends were like, we're going to this convention, and they knew all about it. I knew nothing. I lived under a rock. My parents didn't take me anywhere. I was not allowed to go anywhere, so I had to beg for months because the tickets were so expensive to that convention. I went and I saw cosplay for the first time. I saw.
It was like a magic to you.
Yes, it was a magic to me. I actually, so my favorite TV show at the time was The Walking Dead,
Walking Dead
and
is a masterpiece. Wow.
yeah, it was my favorite TV show, and there was a stall dedicated to The Walking Dead, and in that stall, a makeup artist was turning people into zombies
Ah.
the whole day. So you had to book a slot like way before, and then like there was like a bunch of zombies roaming around the con. So I was like just like captured by that whole process. I was just staring at her work for like 2-3 hours, and she noticed me staring at her, and she was like,
Is that she is working on the TV series?
no, but I think she's a special effects makeup artist, and she was turning people. She was hired by the company to turn people into zombies, like a booth kind of like activity sort of thing. So I was staring, and she noticed me, and she was like, "Can I help you?" I was like, I was just like fangirling, and then told her this and that I love zombies, and she was like, "Do you want me to turn you into one?" And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah, I don't have much time. I can give you 5 minutes, and I can do something small for you." And then she turned me into this like zombie character in 5 minutes. No prosthetics. It was a bit of blood, but it was so fun. The whole time in the con, I pretended to be a zombie, and when taking pictures, I was posing like a zombie, and it was like my first ever experience of like makeup, special effects, and cosplay.
So you felt like you are a zombie.
Yeah.
So inside the Walking Dead series.
In the
Like
convention.
in the convention. Okay, that's a good experience. What character is your favorite? You said that your favorite genre is horror. So what character? That's a zombies or is there any particular character?
For me, I don't know, it depends, right? Certain characters, for me, Demogorgon was one of my favorite character designs. It's so difficult now to find original character designs because they take pre-rendered like skin textures and stuff that already exists online for like character creation nowadays. Back in the day, it was like a pencil and paper, and then you drew your original thought, and that's how it came to be. So I really like a bit of like the 2000s characters. So Silent Hill has some of my favorite concepts.
like nurses and
Not the
also
nurses. I would say my favorite would be Pyramid Head.
pyramid.
And then there's this other character called a missionary, and that character got redone a lot of times. But one of my favorite, I've tried to do the cosplay for that, but I feel like I could do a better one. But now I don't have the body for it. So, but the creator of that character, I mean, when I was getting into that character, I watched all the movies with that character, and then I contacted the original character designer, Martin Mercer, and then emailed him telling him, can I please have the original designs, because I like the original concept more than the movie version. Sketches were beautiful, right? Compared to, so I got those sketches from him, and I made my cosplay in like 3 months. And then I sent him pictures of it, and it was this whole experience. So one of my favorite, another one, Missionary. I love the Demogorgon because of how it's designed and how unique it is. Even though it's a pre-existing character in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, it's still the way they fleshed it out, I think, was beautiful. And same thing for the clicker from Last of Us. I think the concept of zombies, how they came to be, this is like a cordyceps, which is a fungi. And that's how they become this zombie, through fungal infection, which is like,
It's totally different story from the Walking Dead, right?
yeah, I mean, they get bitten and that's how they become zombies. It's like a virus. This is like a fungus. And then I love like a lot, like, I love the zombie genre the most. If there are zombies and how they came to be, and their take on how the zombies are created are original, I love that the most.
Yeah.
So this is one I really wanted to do, and I wish I could have done more with it. I think for December I might redo it.
This is actually great. I was surprised to see this. How did you like? You are now at least 12 or 30 experience for the cosplaying, right? So how did you create your characters? How did you plan it? How did you find these materials? And what things we need to want to do this to create something like this? Because I say Comic Con are getting improved every year. Because Sri Lanka is going to forward every year. So people would like to know how do you create this complex cosplay?
So I think we all started, like, when I started back in Bahrain, I just wanted to recreate my zombie look that she did for me. And so I started trying. I didn't even own makeup. I used my mother's expired makeup, and she didn't have much. She had like this really cheap eyeshadow palette and some really cheap lipstick. I thought it was not enough, so I grabbed my poster paints, acrylic paints. I grabbed my binder gum, and then some tissues and clay, like the Play-Doh clay, not even the matty clay, and then that's how I started. So it was a lot of self-testing and self-trial and error, and
So
then
because
yeah.
we didn't had the resources to find it, right?
No, I did. I just didn't have the money because I was like a O level kid, right? Little bit before O levels actually. And so, like, my parents were super stingy. They were like, I'm not gonna give you any money to go to this place or do
Okay.
this. So if I needed something, I would have to beg like months prior. So whatever I found in the house, I used, and I created like whatever I could, because I got addicted to that sensation of creating something on myself and acting it out. It's like a whole experience. I got addicted to that feeling, so I tried to recreate it as much as possible. And when I came to Sri Lanka, surprisingly enough, it was much easier to find the materials because the PETA exists.
Yeah.
PETA has a lot of materials. They might not go by the same names that we know them by, but they have almost everything. Everything somewhere. You just have to look for it. And
Do your own research, right?
yes, you have to research. No matter what, like, someone can tell you, someone can show you, but then if you don't do your own research, if you don't like love this in that kind of like way enough to like do your own research, I don't think you should be doing this.
Okay. So like it's a huge process, you know.
Yeah, when you start with a character, for me, I like to overcomplicate things with extra steps,
Okay.
which is a bad habit of mine, but because of that, I
You need to be it like unique thing for you.
know.
Okay.
So when
Then
I get a character, I like to first break it, like find like character design.
that might be a 2D character or 3D character,
Yeah,
right?
doesn't matter. Character design, where it's from. I prefer. Sometimes I fall in love with the character, not necessarily the game,
Okay.
not necessarily the movie or anything. And then so I have to make myself watch the movies or play the games
Okay.
to
Understand the
understand what
character.
the character is. Sometimes my friends will do a group cosplay and they'll tell me to do this character, and then I'll be forced to like play these games and watch these things. But that's how do my research there. I started there, and then I get to know the names of all the people that worked on this character, maybe makeup artists, maybe character designers, 3D model artists, and I reach out to them. Or like I check their socials if I can find the original designs of the character, which I think,
Most of them are posting online, right?
yeah, most of the time those resources are available to you. Like you think they're not, but they are. So and then break down the characters like parts. So these are the things I need to make. On like if you take a cake, you can't have everything to be your favorite,
Yeah.
right? You have to sometimes do that to get to what you want.
That's a good example.
So I have parts of the character that I really am like excited to make, and there are some that I really just want to get it done so I can get to the part I want. So I break it down into those parts, like prop making and stuff. I make my own props most of the time. Sometimes my brain can't dissect the way props are made the same way that certain prop makers can. For example, Hasara,
Mhm.
Sahan Pereira, uh, Aishwarya Tennagon, the way their brain works is a bit different. For me, very easy for me to dissect it in terms of makeup, in terms of prosthetics. But for me, a prop, when I see it, it looks super complicated. So I always consult a friend who makes prop. I'm like, how do I make this easier? She's like, you can just use like a toilet paper and like some thread. I'm like, oh, and for me in my head, I was thinking I have to make that shape, and then I have to cut the strips, and then I overcomplicate it. So I always consult a friend and bounce ideas off, and then take down notes. And usually the thought process starts months beforehand. And I think the thought process is a lot more important than the actual making, because the more you think about it, the more steps and the more ways and the more backup plans that you can come up with it. So if you don't have this material, what about this material? And then you in your head you try to like combine the materials and see what it comes. And then if you're like if you have the luxury and the time and the money to
And the
spend on
money.
trial and error, do that. So this was a trial and error effort, and it worked, which is
It worked perfectly.
I wouldn't say perfect, but I I think under one day this is like good, because I ideally how you would make this is you first get like a mold of my head.
Okay.
On top of that, you sculpt with clay. This like special oil based clay, and that you take a mold of. So you have a negative mold, and into that you pour the prosthetic
Okay, then
chemical in.
if I use this head to mine, that won't fit with no.
No, no.
That's only fit for you because this is yours only.
So ideally that's the process, right? But that takes days. That takes so much money, so much materials to make a head cast and everything. I would say it would cost minimum 50K.
50K.
And the materials for that, like everything, I think over 1 lakh it's gonna come. So I was like, I don't have that much money or that much time right
Time.
now to spend. So I looked up as many tutorials as possible, like many cosplayers. I did a lot of research. Most of them were like, okay, you can do this in one day, but you have to use this thing called foam clay.
Foam clay.
We
No,
don't
no.
have that here. If you get it from like abroad, it takes a lot of money and a lot of time. And I didn't have that. I had one day. So I was like, not an option. And I was thinking of all the ways I could make this. So previously, something that we do that's a cost-effective way is make this thing called latex paste, which is a mixture of liquid latex and flour.
Latex paste. Okay.
But the problem with that, I made my Demogorgon mask with it, but I could only wear it for 2 days because it started to shrink a lot. Because when flour gets wet, it expands, and it started to go moldy because it's an organic material. Latex is also organic. Nothing is going to stop it from mold growing. So I didn't want that, and it was so heavy. When you wet flour, it becomes more heavy.
Yeah.
So it was
And it
very,
can be baked easily, right?
huh?
It can be baked easily.
No,
No,
very strong.
very strong. But
It's
it's heavy.
heavy and moldy and shrinking. So I came across those problems when I made the Demogorgon. I was like, I know this, I know how it works, I can do it, but if I do it, I can never wear this again.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to try to redo it another day.
Okay.
So what I did was, how do I replace that element and how do I fix it? And so I the video I watched, she was using latex based, but I came up with this different chemical. Like I did like different powders. I did with talc. Talc doesn't dry as fast,
Okay.
but it's still heavy. There's this something called fume silica, which we use a lot in makeup. It's is really fine powder, so you have to be very careful not to breathe it in because it can damage your lungs. So I don't recommend anyone using that.
Okay.
So I made a concoction with it, and that's how these petals came to be. This first I made. I asked my friend to wrap my head in cling wrap, put tape, and I had a little hose to breathe. That's it. So I can get the shape of my head without having to make a mold of it, right? And
So
so
what about the hair?
yeah, it's all flattened with a wig cap.
Okay, wig cap.
Yeah, and then I got the shape of my head. I stuffed it with stuffing, the fiber, nylon stuffing, and then on top of that, I went with latex and my concoction, and I did a layer to get like a bald cap, and on top of that, I layered masking tape and aluminium foil. That's how these shapes are made, with like aluminium foil and masking tape. So aluminium foil is like clay. You can like bend it to any shape you want,
Okay.
and it's a bit sturdy. So and then on top of that, I went with the latex and latex paste that I made, and I first pre-colored the latex to a yellow, so it would have this like glowy yellowness to it.
Okay.
So you see like elements of like this orange and yellow. Those are from the color itself, and then I layered and layered on top of that, and that's how this came to be within that time. And I used a heat gun to dry it to cure the latex faster, and yeah,
That's how you made it.
yeah. But it's like years of experience. I wouldn't have done this if I didn't do the Demogorgon and fail that time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known. It's like years of experimenting and trial and error. I would love to share my techniques with other people, and I do. I have assistants that I take on. So yeah.
You said that you are participate on the several Comic Con events, not in Sri Lanka but also outside of Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the cosplay truly stand out? How did they need to act? Like, is that costume enough, or do they like want to be the character themselves? Forget about who they are, and how does the cosplay stand out in event?
Okay. So for me, I think the most like different people cosplay for different reasons. I at some point cosplay to show off my skills, show off the techniques that I learned, and I would pick like complex characters depending on that, and I would fall in love with the character during the process of it. Some people cosplay for attention. I think I have cosplayed for attention quite a bit, and that's okay. I also loved the character that I was doing, and then after some time, I think I started cosplaying purely for the love of that character's like design. So different people cosplay for different reasons. But I think one of my favorite ideas, thoughts behind cosplay is how you can take a fictional being, bring it to real life, and have it in a way that people can touch it, people can talk to it, people can interact with it. So if you can be in character during the con, it's a bit of a magic like situation, right? You're like for me, okay. So one year I did 2023. I did this group cosplay with my friends from Super Mario, like different variations of Princess Peach, and during the con we were like in the game Super Mario, there's like a like when you like click on a box, there's a star that comes out, right?
Okay.
Sometimes. So what we did was we gave away gold stars to people who took pictures with us.
Yeah.
Like they had gold stars on their faces, there were gold stars everywhere by the end of the con. So it was a very immersive experience. And last for this year's Comic Con, one of the people that we gave a gold star to came and showed me the gold star and go like, "Hey, I still have this," and that was such a wholesome thing. So
That was
it's
heart touching thing, right?
yeah, it's like a weird experience. I wasn't nice to people. I was just sticking gold stars on them. You don't have to be nice necessarily. You can just scare them as long as you don't abuse them. But
Yeah.
I think it's more memorable if you make it like an experience like that. And the best example I can give you is, do you remember something called Mythbusters?
Mythbusters.
With those two twins, one the weird white guys. So there's this famous show on Discovery Channel, I think.
No, can't remember.
Okay, there's
Okay.
this famous show, and it's like Hollywood level people. One
Discovery was shown at the Sri Lankan Rupahini Corporation.
Oh, no, 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 no. So this pair of dudes, okay, I forgot their names, but Mythbusters. One of them is really into cosplay since he was a very small kid, and I think he mentions that one of his favorite characters were from Spirited Away, No Face, and he remembers this cosplay very, very beautifully. Where when he went to a con, there was this No Face character. He was handing out gold coins to people.
Okay.
But in the movie, if you take one of No Face's gold coins, you get bad luck. Bad things happen to you. So people were like going back and giving him the coin, like not taking the gold coin. So people who knew the narrative and knew the story interacted in such a way, and for him, it he got like his whole like environment was transformed into like the space where okay, No Face is giving me gold.
Yeah.
I shouldn't take it. It's bad luck. And it was such a beautiful experience because it kind of brought out his inner child, and that's something cosplay can do, which I think is like beautiful.
They can be the hero of the day, right?
Hero, villain, doesn't matter. You can bring out someone's inner child, and I think like as adults,
We still love the characters, right? The characters we saw in our
childhood. So I feel like a lot of us are just chasing ways to bring out and appease our inner children, and this is like one of those beautiful ways for me.
Yeah. This is really good. Let's go to the special effects things. Okay.
Okay.
You said that you saw someone in the Comic Con, and that was the first inspiration for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, how do you discover the SFX makeup thing?
Okay, so for me, special effects makeup and cosplay go hand in hand. I started with the zombie makeup that lady did, and I tried to recreate it. And special effects at the time, I was a very depressed kid.
Depressed?
Depression, yes,
Okay.
but therapy and medication later. It was also kind of like an outlet not only for my creative energy but my destructive energy. So I would do a lot of like cut lots of wounds. Like I wouldn't do it to myself, but I would recreate it through makeup. So it was also like outlet for my malice energy, which I think I dealt in a quite healthy way comparatively to cutting myself or you know. So when I started, I tried to redo the zombie, and I was like, what if I do like a slit, like a cut wrist? And I tried to did that with clay tissues and chemitics and all
Yeah.
that.
When I checked your Instagram profile, I saw the most old photos are like blood and cutting things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like quite like yeah, that was me as a kid. So I started like that, and then I would use cosplay as a way to experiment with new makeup and new styles, and cosplay was a way to express my makeup love for makeup stuff. And I was like a internalized misogynistic little prick when I was a child, right? So I was like, I'm not gonna do girly makeup. I'm only doing like disgusting, scary makeup. But then here's the thing, right? That's a very childish thing to
Yeah.
like not come into contact with your femininity or like be scared of it. So over time, I embraced my femininity and embraced normal makeup as well. But I started off with that stuff. And I didn't get into special effects intentionally.
Okay.
People approached me and hired me for the craziest things when I was like 17 years old in Sri Lanka.
So you had your first job at 17 years.
No, I think earlier than that. So,
Okay.
like I think one of my first ever gigs that I did was for Comic Con.
Okay.
2006.
Okay, so the cosplayers are trying to reach you, right?
No,
Or the commercials?
no, the Comic Con people
Comic Con
and
people.
Tilani and all wanted to do a kind of a campaign where you like a road to Comic Con situation, and they hired me to do makeup to turn certain people into characters, and I did that. I think I was like 17 when that happened. And then some people would ask me to do the Halloween makeup from seeing my social media.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, extra money,
Because
stuff for
when
free.
you are 17, we didn't have that such talented artist in Sri Lanka. Because nobody is posting in Instagram or
Yeah.
Facebook, right?
Yeah, so I came to Sri Lanka and I started posting, and that's how I got it. I did my A-levels in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So people approached me to do things like that for them, and then wherever I went, my mother went with. She was like very protective.
She's the friend, right?
It's more like protection. She would just come and sleep in the corner in a chair, you know. She would just be there to make sure that people don't mess with me. And I would go to like, and she would be such like a open-minded person, right? She would come with me to like these pubs which have Halloween events that I would be doing makeup. I'm like 17 doing makeup on like drunk old adults, but she was like, "That's cool. You don't drink anything. You're fine." And she was just
You do your
really,
thing and then
yeah. And I was like truly just having like a lot of fun because that was like exploring this weird potential. Not for me, it was never a career choice
okay.
because I was either something to do very like doctor, engineer, that kind of route that my parents wanted me to go in.
Mhm.
But it was
That
not.
was the everybody's pressure.
Yeah,
You want to be the doctor.
I mean, especially if you're good in school, right?
Yeah.
That's the only options your parents give you. And for me, I thought maybe that's fine, but it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't my calling. And at some point, I decided in 2019 that I was going to fully jump into the field of makeup, give it a chance.
Not the wedding makeup. This is a real movie and theater, like TV shows makeup, right?
I think wedding makeup is also beautiful. I
Okay.
think that is also a different skill. It's a different set of techniques and skills that you need to have to be able to do wedding makeup. I don't have that
Yeah.
skill. I mean, I don't have that emotional capacity to handle someone who's experiencing the most important day of their lives.
Okay.
So I don't have that skill, but some people do.
Yeah.
So a film has a different set of pressures and different set of makeup techniques and skills. For me, I love that side more. So I decided to not do bridal because if you do bridal, you're doing bridal. You don't do anything else.
Yeah.
The products you use are different, techniques you use and learn and practice are different, and the clients are totally different.
Yeah.
You have more time in film. It's different. It's totally different. So I just decided to fully dive into it, and by that time, I was already doing grassroots show of film work for a lot of people, and I made a lot of friends through like networking through comic cons and stuff. And when I decided to go into it full time in 2019, I didn't think I would have work, so I was freelancing online, doing like digital work, and because I was afraid that I would not have money, right? Because I was very independent from the age of 18.
Okay.
I moved out. I made my when I say moved out, I moved into one of my uncle's empty houses, right? And I made my own money. I freelanced. I made like I was living off of my own stuff. If I went hungry, that was my fault. Like so, I was earning money and I was going to uni. But then I was like, this is not fun. And then I decided to get into makeup full time. I was like, what if? And then surprisingly enough, after one gig ended, another one came along.
Okay.
Another one came along. And it would get into this like sort of rhythm. And till date, it's still happening where I would like one job would end and another would present itself. And now actually I have the luxury of scheduling projects throughout the year. So I know, okay, in March I'll do this. I'll take like a long break in between, and then again in August I'll jump into that kind of situation. So it's yeah. I mean, I have never regret. I mean, I have regretted it some moments. Everyone regrets their job at some moments,
Yeah.
but I'm very content. I'm very happy with my choice.
Did you remember your first project, SFX project?
Ooh, okay, interesting. Okay,
You said you had a project before the 17th, right? So
17, yeah. Okay, so the Lanka Comic Con project that I did then was very interesting, very fun. But I think what I would consider my official first special effects work is when I dived into it in 2019. That was for a film called Jinx by
yes.
this Tamil producer director, and he was very young, younger than me, I think. At the time he was like 19, or like 2 years younger than me by that time. And I mean, I got into contact with him because of a friend who knew me, and that was my first proper experience in special effects and film. To be working in that kind of environment with that kind of people
And you
to
are
date,
still younger, right?
yeah, I guess, but that was a dream come true. Like that whole experience, nothing, I would not change a single thing. It was so fun. We went from blood effects, we went from prosthetics, we went to character creations, we went to like realism. So there was a lot of like elements that so that my first project was Jinx, the short film. It's on YouTube. It was done by like this very young director. I worked with him again. No, I haven't worked with him again actually. I indirectly almost worked with him several times, and I met a lot of connections on that film. And it was an incredible experience. It was a horror film, and I didn't expect much from it. But then watching that video, it's much better in quality, production, and story than like 80% of the work that I have worked in. And it was done by a very young group of people and not on high
It's like an
budgets.
indie movie or something.
Yeah, it was not high budget. It's not even an original crazy story,
Okay.
but it was beautiful. Like the outcome was very, very nice, like very polished. So I was very impressed, and I would say that is my first proper SFX gig as a in a film.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, what is your creative process doing the SFX on a movie or like any cosplay project or anything?
So for films, it's quite different from cosplay. But here's the thing, right? No one taught me how to do this. I didn't start like how normal people start here is by assisting people. So the thing is, the process it differs from film to cosplay. But no one was there to teach me anything. I kind of got into the field like diving headfirst.
Okay. You are a self learner.
Yeah, and most people start in this industry by being an assistant to someone. Or while they're starting out, they're assisting
Because they
people.
are seeking for a chance, right?
Yeah, and not everyone starts off the way I did. I don't think anyone in Sri Lanka has ever started with cosplay and gotten into special effects makeup full time. That
Yeah.
has not happened before.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a learning curve because back then I was naive and gullible, and I was like, I can reach the stars and get whatever I want if I put all my strength. There are human limitations, there are realistic expectations, and there are ideal utopian fantasies that we create. So it's very important for us to separate, okay, with the budget and time we have, this is what we can do, and to create a plan around that, because not everyone has unlimited time, not everyone has unlimited budgets. And starting off as a very young makeup artist, you only get handed projects that are like budget limited and time limited. If they wanted, if it's a high value production, they would go for like industry. Like I'm not a veteran yet.
Okay.
In Sri Lanka, I'm not a veteran yet. There are like a handful of people who do this, and there are people who have done this long before. Like I can't name names, but a lot of infamous makeup artists. And if you were them, yes, you would get like the high budgeted because you already made those connections, right?
Yeah.
So those had time to age like fine wine. But for me, I'm new. I'm still. I didn't. I just.
I'm still Opula.
I'm still. Yeah. No. I mean, I will always be opera, but I don't have as much connections as they did. They didn't. They started off assisting people.
Someone helped him to go
Yeah, I got to know people from the Comic Con culture, and that's how I made friends even. So it was very new for me to find clients. It was very from there on. I would have to be like, okay, what's your budget? How much time do we have? Okay, within this much time and this much budget, this is what you can do. And if we all agree to that budget and monetary process, then I dive into the creative side. I draw up character sketches. I create the characters and mood boards actually. First mood board, character sketches, then I render them with AI now.
But if someone don't use, like they don't like AI, how does it work?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? With AI, I think if you use it properly, I think it's a positive tool. Like for me, my sketches can't do 100% justice. Like I have my limitations as a makeup artist, so I do my sketches. But if I want to see more of like how it will fit, I will try to use AI. I mean, it's easier than 3D modeling it yourself.
Yeah. AI not a monster, right?
Yeah, it takes like half an hour maybe, and that's for you to come to that like narrowed down, and then we would agree on a concept, and we would agree on variations of that concept, because you can't get it 100% accurate to that concept, because the person who's wearing the makeup sometimes they have limitations. They can't sit in the makeup chair for more than 30 minutes, some people. Some people have very sensitive skin. They don't even like cold things touching their face. Some people have fears of their face being covered with something. I have dealt with almost all of these types of people. So depending on our model, the design may change a little bit, especially if it's like a little child.
Okay.
So these things tend to happen, and then we finally get to, like, I always say, if there's a complicated makeup, we have to do a makeup test.
Makeup test.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the lighting, with the environment, with the color grading, we have to do a makeup test. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, like, time consuming, stressful process on the day.
Okay.
And you might not even get the shot you want.
And the budget will be exceed.
Even more. Because that's another thing. So we do a makeup test, ideally. We try to recreate all those elements that we have, like the space and the frame, because sometimes I might have tubes rigged to the character to do, like, like a gunshot, like a and I would have to hide with the tubes somewhere out of frame. So all of these things need to be planned. As much planning and as much
So there
talking as
is
possible.
more things to do in the pre-production, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Pre-production is my most favorite and the most intensive part of the project for me. So this, if I was to redo this, I would do it again completely different, because the colors that showed up on the day of the event is completely different from the colors that were in my room.
Yeah.
So it's like, even for film, like, you have to, like, recreate all the elements, because sometimes I think one special experience was, there was a thing where the director wanted, like, some, like, a stab in the neck, and then blood gushes out, like a lot of blood sprays, right? So
It's not
the
a VFX.
no,
We don't know VFX.
real
Okay.
real effect. So I made that wig, and the day of that effect, the actor was a small child and a grown man. The small child stabs the grown man, right? And the blood goes out. How that happened, the blood effect, perfect. It came out so beautifully.
Okay.
But the actors were
Not
surprised,
surprise.
and they couldn't do their performance properly. So we had to redo it another day.
Okay.
The same, we had to redo the prosthetics, the makeup, the lighting, the setup, the set design. Because if you do blood effects, you have to cover the walls, white
Yeah.
walls, and everything in
Everything.
plastic. So there are so many things like that. So, but that is the process. I mean, there have been times where I have gone into huge projects without a makeup test, and I will always regret those things. Always
Because
do.
directors had limited time, right?
Huh?
They had limited time in the production. Most
No,
of them.
yeah, limited time pre-production, and they had to go straight into production. So, and budget constrictions. But I will never ever. I think always try to advocate for makeup tests. And if I don't get a makeup test, I will always say this: what you see is what you get. You cannot have exactly what you want, because we didn't do a makeup test.
Yeah.
But be realistic with your client.
That's your fault.
Yeah. If what's in my head and what I create is not to your standards, then I can't help it. That's We didn't get a makeup test.
What is your best achievement as a SFX artist?
Okay. So one of my biggest, a lot of things actually, I got to last this whole year. I have worked on some amazing projects. I've got to work with international people from Canada. I got to work with film school students, and they did this amazing short film. And I got to work with international people as well. I worked on a Maldivian film, a full feature film, and it was a horror film, and that was, I think, my crowning achievement so far. I mean, there have been more, but for now, what I'm most proud of is the fact that I got to work on a horror film, a full film.
Okay.
And yes, yeah.
You said that you are working on the films and TVs and TV series, right? Not TV.
Series, commercials, yeah, digital, DBC, TVC both.
Okay.
That digital commercials and television commercials as well. And yeah.
When a client approached to you, how did you deal with them? They said we need this kind of character and this is how you work it. So how did you deal with the projects? Let's go with the first time a client sent you a message. Okay. So then how did you handle this client?
Okay. So it depends if it's someone I know or don't know. If I've worked with this person, I already know. But if they send me a message out of nowhere and I don't know this person, one of I will first try to understand what sort of a person this is. Is this someone who's like a little bit delusional, things like unrealistic things can come
Happen,
true
yeah.
kind of thing? Or are they asking for too much for too little?
Yeah, okay.
So all of these elements I try to gauge within that conversation. And I will always try to tell them, okay, these are the budget constrictions, these are the time constrictions. And sometimes I get lucky and I get to work with directors who have the same mindset as I do. I think my favorite so far has been Rockandino to work
Okay,
with. We are on the same level of humor, I would say similar, I can catch the vibe sort of thing. And
so just for wait. So you said you are the person who behind the Blocandino's makeup.
yes, mainly right now.
Okay, so that means you are the person who responsible for their characters. Like they have millions of views on the one single video.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a like exclusive thing. Did you ever tell someone to like you are the person who work with them?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
then.
have. Yeah.
So that's good, right? I saw that Bokula, right?
Locula, yeah.
Bokula, that you are the person. I still that on the YouTube, no?
Yeah,
You are the person who draw the Bokula things and block space, right?
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
great.
Thank you. So, like, sometimes I'll get on clients that have the same mindset as I do. Other times I will get clients who have completely different mindset than I do. Completely different cultural background, completely different ethical background. So it's
Not
very
only Sri Lankans, right?
not only Sri Lankans, different backgrounds. I've worked with so many different like international people. So when you deal with those kinds of people, it's kind of like you have to remind yourself because you're freelancing, right? You have to remind yourself that this is a job all the time. It doesn't matter if this person doesn't believe in what I believe. I have to treat them just like another client. It's only professional, nothing. Even if I hate that person, I have to get through it. I'll
You have to
shut
declare.
down my emotions, work on them. I mean, if we're friendly, we'll have a chat, we'll listen to some music while I'm doing your makeup kind of thing. But if I'm not fond of that person, I can't show it in my face because that's the industry that I live in.
Yeah.
That person,
Not even in the selfie, right?
no,
Not in the selfie.
I cannot take pictures and post without
No.
consent. So that is kind of like the people that I have to deal with. And after going through all those personality checks and gauging of like emotional and mental whatever of that person, then I try to deal with it according to those
Yeah.
limitations. Yeah.
So you said that you are working as a freelancer too, right?
Yeah.
So if I are a programmer or someone like that, you can work in a home. But working as a makeup artist in a freelancer, so how did you manage those projects as a freelancer? You have to go to abroad, right? So how did you maintain it?
So as a freelance makeup artist in the film industry, I have to do everything from accounting, inventory, taking into account all like the material costs and transportation costs and sourcing. I also have to recruit my own assistants. I have to train my own assistants, and I also do classes sometimes for my assistants. And all like I'm not just wearing the hat of a makeup artist. I'm wearing the hat of all these different elements that go into it because I do it by myself. At some point, I created my own website. I created my own blog and I was doing that. At some point, I was selling fake blood and products like that,
I
but
saw that blue elf blood or something.
blue, yeah, the blood jar, and it taught me a lot of, it was an experience for me, right? But yeah, I have to do all of these things by myself, so it's tough. It's not for the weak of heart. I always keep like a detailed documentation of everything I do, so I have accounts going back to like 6 years
Okay, good.
since 2009. I have project prep documents and pictures, documentation that I have done since then. And I think one for working in Sri Lanka and being a girl a little young along a younger line, it has been challenging because a lot of people don't believe.
Yeah.
So to make them believe, I had to do like, okay, I was like, is there a course I can do here? Is there something I can like learn or get a qualification for? And then I found out that there is a school called AMIT in Sri Lanka that has a level 4 NVQ course
Okay.
for like a 6-month course
For the artist, makeup artist.
yeah, for makeup artists in film and theater. And if you go through that process,
It
then
was a government.
Not government. It's
Okay.
by NITA.
Night. Okay.
Yeah. And when you go through that process, I think I tried to go through it. I was like, it's not bad, it's pretty good. I was ready with the money. I went there to talk to the sir, and then he was like, portfolio kind of exceeds
Okay.
everything that we have done already, and it would be a waste for me to sit through this for 6 months and spend this much money and to directly go for the exam. So I went directly for the exam. I requested from NITA for NVQ level 4, and I did my first exam, and my first exam, unfortunately, I failed.
Okay. That's experience.
Yeah, that's an experience because even though I'm a makeup artist, I live in Sri Lanka, right? So here, the way they use different terms mean different things. So when they say natural beauty, for me, I picture something different in my head. Like internationally, it might be different. But when they say natural beauty, they mean gammy. I didn't know what the meaning of gammy was. I have a language barrier at that moment, right?
Gammy, which means village.
Yes, like
Okay.
a village girl. And back then I didn't know what that was. So they were saying, okay, do beauty makeup. And I did beauty makeup. For them, it's like, oh, but this looks gothic.
Okay.
I was like, but it's beauty.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, no, this is gothic. And then I was like, and then all these things, I was like, okay, do this, and I was doing like completely different. The way I set my table was completely different to the standard.
Okay.
There's a standard you have to set your table as a makeup artist in Sri Lanka.
Mhm.
Different. The products I use, the way I was holding my brushes, completely different. And because of all those things, I think they had to fail me. My techniques were different. My everything was different, and for them, it was very hard to believe what was in my portfolio was done by me.
Okay.
They thought I had like taken random images and put it into a file. So second time around, I learned my words. I didn't know what Angarachane was.
Angarachana, yeah.
So I learned my words. I learned my titles. I learned my definitions, and I went into it with more like techniques that they want. I learned how to set my table like
So this is because this is a different culture.
culture.
Yeah.
There's a different method and technique. So you have to set your table in one way. If you don't, you get minus points.
Yeah.
So I had to redo all of that in the way that they wanted. Use products that they wanted. Use techniques that they want. And hold my brush also had to redo everything. And there's like so many ethical things that you have to do. Like there's a way you greet your client when they sit in the makeup chair, and the way you tell them bye, like good luck. There's so many cultural differences. After learning all that, I went back and then passed my second time. So yeah, there's a bit of a process. Like it wasn't easy. It was really challenging. People might think, oh, Sri Lankan makeup. No, no, no.
No.
There's a standard.
And we have to maintain it, right?
Yeah.
Great. Guys, this is a long interview. So this will be the last part of our interview. Now I need to know about your final thoughts. Okay. How did your family and friends help you to go this journey, and how did they support your projects?
So right now, my biggest support is my fiance. He drives me to all my jobs most of the time. He drives me back. It will be like 4 in the morning, and he will still drive like an hour to get to where I am and bring me back. Because sometimes I'm just exhausted to take a cab.
Because this
And
is not a 8 to 5 job.
no, no, no. Sometimes you have to work 3 days, no sleep, barely any food because you're so busy. At once, I was working for 9 hours straight. I think 7 or 8 people makeup. I was working without a single drop of water, not a single break. I was working. I didn't even know it was 9 hours. That's the kind of job that I do, and that's the kind of field that I picked. We don't have. Sometimes we start work at 2 in the morning, and then we finish like 2 days later. That's how it is. And always my fiance has been there. My mom and dad, my mom mostly used to come with me in the beginning. Like when I was under 18, she used to come with me to all these like events and gigs. My grandparents, I used to live in my uncle's house, which is owned by my grandparents, and they used to let me do that. Let me turn the living room into a workshop, and they took me to events even in the beginning. There was a little bit of a doubt in the family. They were like, "Oh, Vesmunu, like, are you gonna make masks and
Yeah.
for the rest of your life. But my
They're like
parents,
underrating it, right?
yeah, but my parents were really supportive. My dad bought me my first makeup case, and he drove me to my first conventions and would pick me up from them. So I had a lot of support from my family and my brother even. And even he like at some point helped me with my cosplay. I was like, I think for the Demogorgon one, so tired I couldn't get out of bed because I was working for like a week straight. And then I was like, I'll take a nap. Can you guys just glue this stuff onto my back? And I fell asleep. And then my brother and my boyfriend at the time, right, who's my fiance now, helped me with that.
That's how you got, huh?
Yeah, that's just how it is. And even friends, like my best friend now, I also met through Comic Con. My fiance, I met through Comic Con. She also helps me when I have something to do. Even a normal project, I would like go like, hey, does this budget sound right to you? Does this sound plan sound all right to you? What other problems you see? I would like bounce up ideas. So Hasara, Sanjeev, Janut, and my parents, huge support. My grandparents, yeah.
What do you see the future, okay, of the SFX and the cosplay in Sri Lanka?
So right now, people like, so I have gone into the professional field, right? People, older cosplayers are also doing that. You see people like even Sean Amrasekar, he's a cosplayer, a surgeon, and his whole family cosplays at the same time, and the level of detail that they go to is also crazy. But that's only because we have the privilege of our professional life, access to monetary things that we never had access to. The same thing goes for Aishwarya. He's a architect, but he chose this field in like diorama making and sculpting. And he brought that into his cosplay, and he's using that to level up his cosplay. And that can be same, said for like Vishwa and Netaga, a lot of cosplayers who are now working in like prop making and 3D modeling, 3D printing, makeup. So even for me, I do special effects makeup full time, so I can use that all the skills I learned in that to bring it into this kind of like a information swap. So I think currently even the level of Sri Lankan cinema in the recent few movies that have come out are super good. Like Nelum was so good.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So there are like three, four
Even the
artists.
Blokandino are doing very perfect videos for the YouTube.
Yeah.
That's our next level videos.
Yeah. So it's like even the movies that come out, the stories are different. And the artists in Sri Lanka that does this, there are a lot of them. Like not a lot, I would say 4 or 5 of them. But seeing how they work, seeing how I work, I think the Sri Lankan industry slowly like the art value is going up a little bit more.
Okay.
So I think it's going in a really good direction. You'll see a lot more promising cosplayers. Even though it's challenging, even though there's a lot of tax, even though there's a lot of material problems, we're still making it happen.
Do you think that local artists who work in the SFX and the cosplaying get enough recognition from the industry and the audience?
I think we do get enough recognition in like some cosplayers, right? If you do cosplay for the mainstream audience and you get recognized, that's great. There are cosplayers who do characters that they genuinely love because they love those characters and they're not very well known. Those cosplayers, and they go into so much detail with the costume, with the makeup, but it's not like lanterns, not shiny lights, no smoke, no mirrors. It's just very much the character. Those cosplayers don't get enough credit. I feel sad for them, but I feel like once in a while they should do characters that caters to the mainstream.
Yeah.
So and grabs everyone's attention. So I feel like in Sri Lanka, because of Comic Con, I think per day there's around 9,000 to 10,000 visitors.
Right.
Probably more. I'm just seeing the projections from the past few years, right? So you are exposed to almost 10,000 people one day. So 2 days, 20,000 people roughly.
Yeah.
So your artwork can reach corners of Sri Lanka that you didn't even know. Even international, there were a lot of foreigners as well.
Yeah, I saw that Astrid girl who played at the cosplay. It was published in the Universal Pictures page.
Yeah, and even Aishwarya's Wukong,
Look cosplay.
super crazy. My friend did a sleep token cosplay with the wings
Hasara,
and
right?
Hasara,
Yeah.
and even she got acknowledged. So a lot of these people like do get acknowledged thanks to conventions like Comic Con and
We had
other
only
conventions.
2 events happening right now at the Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and that's enough. That's so far. I mean, more the better, but so far so good. We have enough recognition. There are people like you who do interviews
It's
to people like us. And yeah, there's a lot more work, and I feel like, so one of the conventions have competitions, right? So when you go through the competition process, it's also an experience, it's also a time for exposure,
Yeah.
and especially more exposure than normal convention, because you don't like, I'm taking myself out of the equation. I
Okay.
don't compete anymore because I feel like that's unfair to cosplayers.
Okay.
And I think the same goes for Aishwarya, and same goes for Hasara, same goes for veteran cosplayers. So yes, you do get recognition. You just need to know like the right ways to grab the attention of the crowd.
Right way to capture the attention of the crowd, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
if that's what you are after.
Okay. What is your future ambitions as SFX artist?
Okay,
You
okay,
have
good.
worked with a lot of time, lot of projects, and lot of experience on the past years. So, what are your future ambitions?
Okay, so as a special effects makeup artist, there are a lot of things that I wanted to do and are doing them now. And I think my favorite, I want to work in more indie horror films, not Indian, indie as in the genre indie horror films by like grassroots level people, more than high level um Marvel movies or anything like that. I prefer like this, like the
Because we didn't had
groundwork.
high budget productions in Sri Lanka.
Even if
Okay.
it's not just Sri Lankan, even if it's just like foreign,
Correct.
if I go abroad and I work for
If
something,
you had a chance to work with season 4 or 10, maybe in the what
Last of Us.
yeah, Last of Us, that would be a big achievement,
Yeah,
right?
if I am working on a production like that, I don't mind doing like a tiny job, like my name is there in like tiny letters and the credits. I don't mind. But honestly, I love to work in those kinds of projects. I want to work as in like indie horror films more. Yeah,
Yeah,
that yeah, more indie horror films. I have more aspirations, but
that's your favorite, right? That's
yeah,
your horror is your
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Now, this is for you. What are the advisors? Okay, what are your advisors who would like to be a best cosplay or the best BFX artist in the next years? What are these advisors?
So if you want to get into makeup or want to grow as a special effects, I would say reach out to people like me. I offer sort of like internships and assistant like programs that you don't have to pay. You just have to like show up and show interest, and you do as much research as you can. And don't think that just because Sri Lanka is a third world country, it doesn't have options. It has a lot of options. A lot of foreign films come to Sri Lanka to do like Asian productions because it's cheap. Labor is cheap, location cost is cheap, and you can get beautiful locations in Sri Lanka. So a lot of foreign Russian people come here, Arab people come here, Indians come to Sri Lanka, a lot of people from Tamil Nadu come to Sri Lanka. So don't think that there's a lot of opportunity. So don't always think, okay, I'm going to go abroad and do big.
Mm.
You're not. You're going to probably end up cleaning toilets. So remember that the grass is greener where you water it, not on the other side. Yeah, because that's like the biggest thing for you to remember. Like if you build your brand and your company from scratch or from the help of someone else, make sure you do it with a lot of research, a lot of passion, and you're ready to sacrifice a lot physically, mentally, and emotionally for this kind of job. But it's not for the faint of heart, even as a cosplayer.
Even as a cosplayer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the final question. What is your message to the Sri Lankan cosplayers and the creative community?
Okay.
Your message, anything.
So I would say if you are a creative in Sri Lanka or if you are a cosplayer in Sri Lanka, I think now in this age of tech and gadgets and online stuff, we forget how important community can be. But it's such a powerful thing for your business, for your growth, to have a community around you. You can do things on your own, but you can't do them. It's almost impossible to grow if you don't have some people around you that share in your interests, that share in your field. And don't try to always keep your techniques and new things you learn to yourself. If I find a place to get this super rare material, I will tell other cosplayers. I will tell other people in my field. I think you should not hog information like that. You should share it within the community and create a little bubble for yourself where you can grow, where other people in your community can grow. Because your growth is dependent on their growth. You can't grow alone
Yeah.
and hog everything
Alone
by
is not
yourself.
option, right?
Yeah, even if it is, you're not going to get anywhere if you grow alone and stay by yourself. So get that community going. There's always someone somewhere who's interested in what you do, even if it's something super random. Maybe it's terranium building, maybe it's sculpting dragons. People do it. Find your community, find your niche, grow in that community. That's what I can say.
So I hope you guys are learning a lot of things from Opula because I try to last 2 years to contact with her. Okay, because sometimes she's not in the Sri Lanka, sometimes she was very busy. But in 2025 Comic Con, you guys may see her in the Comic Con video I was posted on the BizzB channel. Check that out. This is her experience. She's a very important ally to us, to the Sri Lankan community. You guys might want to contact with her. You guys need to get her advices. I will put the link in the description to contact with her. Okay. So Opula, thank you so much. Then thank you so much for
Welcome.
joining with this video. Okay. See you guys, and also please subscribe in the Dispute channel and tell your thoughts in the comment section. I would like to hear your thoughts about the makeup and the cosplay and the things Opula shared with you. See you, and we will reach.